What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Pilots Club, a podcast all about the first episodes of television shows and the many reasons why they may or may not be worth a watch. Every month, we pick a different pilot episode to watch and then discuss it here on our show. We release these episodes first and foremost to our Patreon supporters at patreon.com/the Whatnauts on our $3 tier and above. And then 2 years later, we release these episodes to a wider audience on a public feed. So if you want to catch up on 2 years worth of episodes, patreon.com/the Whatnauts is the place to do that. When we first made the Pilots Club, it was a little rough around the edges, so we wanted to polish it up a bit and repackage it, so to speak, with this new intro. And eventually you will stop hearing me doing this pre-recorded intro, and I will just start saying it as we record each episode. But until then and beyond, please enjoy the show and what it grows into. Welcome back to the Pilots Club, our Patreon exclusive podcast here at the Whatnauts. If you are watching this, you are supporting us at the $3 tier. We love you a lot. We appreciate you. It means a ton.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. You guys know me. I'm Kyle. That's Melissa. It's always good to just do introductions, even though I know you know who we are since you're giving us all your money and life savings. That being said, today on the Pilots Club, we are talking about Mystery Incorporated.
Mm-hmm.
This is a live-action, fan-made version of Scooby-Doo that I found on the internet. We've done all sorts of different pilots here. We haven't done one that was like a fan-made thing here, and it's still being fan-made. They made this with a crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo. I believe they are currently trying to fund episode 2 and do all. So it is still ongoing. It's still happening. I will try to put a link in the description for this, but it should be pretty easy to find. But yeah, last month was October. It was spooky month. We did Mockingbird Lane. And I kind of wanted to do something kind of spooky too. So I was just like, you know what? Scooby-Doo. Let's do some Scooby-Doo. And I thought this would be an interesting one here. So Melissa, let me ask you, what did you think of Mystery Incorporated?
I am a big Scooby-Doo fan, particularly of the animated show Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated that aired on Cartoon Network in like the early 2010s. We did a review show episode about season 1 way back in 2018. It was like one of the things early on I knew I wanted to get us to talk about. I am always down for any adaptation or update on the Scooby Gang. I think they are so clearly understood. They're so timeless in a way. I like to see them like readapted and remixed in so many different ways. And there's so many of them. Like there's so much Scooby-Doo out there that you can have all these different takes. And it's never like, well, that's not my Fred, because there's 200 Freds. It's okay.
Exactly.
And I was happy somebody was out here making this. It's very CW. It also kind of reminded me of that Power Rangers movie, Saban's Power Rangers from like 2017, of that sort of gritty reboot. But this doesn't have a lot of grit to it. The grit is pretty much essentially Fred thinks a demon murdered his parents.
Yeah, that is like the grittiest.
Which is so funny that it's like
of this.
Right, yeah, and it goes as far as one of the kids is missing both of their parents. He's just been orphaned. It happened like 3 days ago. It's so recent. And Velma's like, her dad died a couple years ago and now her mom drinks a lot, but it's not that bad. Like, Daphne's under a lot of pressure as this daughter of this like big legacy family in the city, but it's not that bad. Shaggy's dad is the sheriff and he's kind of watching him, trying to get him to not to be a slacker, but it's not that bad compared to Fred's parents were just murdered.
He's the next Batman. Yeah, like you said, this is kind of a modern take on the show, a reimagining of these characters, like you said. It's very CW. Reminded me a lot of Riverdale. And I mean that in the best way possible. I love Riverdale to death, but it is like my hot garbage show that I like. I think that show is ridiculous. It makes no sense, like all of that stuff. And this adaptation of Scooby-Doo reminded me a lot of that. And I kind of liked it. I liked it for what it was. I had a good time with it, but it's also very different. It's weird seeing the like CW-ification of this show. It's interesting. Something else that I really enjoyed about this show is that it is trying to mix in a lot of Scooby-Doo lore into a brand new thing. It is their own original story rather than like, oh, we're gonna do Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island or what have you, right? They are trying to make their own thing, which I really appreciated. Even in the way they depict some of the characters too, like they are still the ones we know and love, but even someone like Shaggy, who is the kind of hippie stoner kid, he's trying not to be that. Like that is the thing that he has been like typecasted into. It's like, oh, you're the stoner kid, you know how to get drugs, right?
Right.
And he's like, I mean, yeah, but I don't want to. Like, that's not me. So I liked that. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that all of these they're pretty good kids. Like Daphne is running for homecoming queen. A lot of that under the pressure of her mother, who was also homecoming queen, surely.
Yep.
And her boyfriend sets up this plan to like plant drugs on the other homecoming queen candidate. And he's like, well, once the principal finds out she was with drugs, she'll be disqualified. You'll win automatically. And she's like, first off, she's immediately going to know this had something to do with me. She's going to think I blackmailed her. And like, don't do that to her. And like, she goes out of her way. She kind of makes a fool of herself to keep this girl from like drinking a drugged drink to like be framed. Like,
trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, I like that. Another thing about this pilot that I thought was interesting is that the team hasn't formed yet. We've got these four characters. Of course, Shaggy and Scooby are always a team. But the other characters don't know each other yet. We see Fred and Daphne like see each other on campus and like give each other a look like, wow, beautiful. I feel a connection.
They
like they're
know
setting
each
up
other, but like
maybe,
they aren't. They run in similar circles, but he's on the baseball team and she's dating the quarterback of the football team. So like,
no, wasn't that one of his like baseball teammates? They're in the locker room together. I figured they were playing the same sport.
Well, I think because they do make a comment about like, oh, we won state championship last year. That's the baseball team. But the principal of the school, his son is the quarterback on the football team. He's the one that was dating Daphne in this here. And he's all hyped about the football stuff. And he's like, they didn't mention the baseball team. Like we won states. Like, yeah.
All right. So. Yeah. But I like that the two characters who we see connect with each other are Fred and Velma. And like he meets her in the library and he's like, oh, I know you. We had like geometry once. And she's like, you remember me? Like you even noticed me? He's like, yeah, I noticed you. You sat in the back of the class so nobody could like look over your shoulder and copy off your test.
Good guy Fred. Right?
He's like sweet.
The typical thing you would see in that scenario is that she knows everything about him and like has a crush on him, and he's just like, who are you? Like I don't understand, right? because she's the like nerdy mousy girl. But no, he was like, oh yeah, I know you.
Yeah. I like that that's the first relationship we are forming, because it's always felt like those two characters, of course Velma's the genius, but after her it feels like Fred has the most impetus as a mystery solver. Like Fred's kind of the leader. It seems like he put this together. And so I like that those are the two people paired together first, and then we're going to get Daphne in there. We're going to get Shaggy and Scooby in there, but it starts with these two finding a mystery and wanting to solve it.
Yeah. So I do want to say one quick thing. I think I may have misspoke. I said that they are currently funding episode 2. I'm not sure exactly where their fund is in its process, but I'm looking at IMDb because I also did want to shout out the director and writers and stuff in a sec here. But it says the director, whose name is Dante Yower, did all 12 episodes. Right. And
nice.
They might have already made the stuff and are still looking like they may have like taken out loans or stuff to get it done, but then are just like, hey, we still need to actually like fund this. So I'm not sure exactly where it is and all of that. Yes, the series is directed by Dante Yor. The series writing credits goes to Dante Yor, as well as Jessica Chancellor and Dade Elza. And those are the actors that played Fred and Daphne. They wrote most of this.
Yeah, and I noticed the actress who plays Daphne was also the costume designer for the entire show.
Oh, interesting.
So it's
there you go. Yeah.
For something that feels like it could have been like this could have been a boardroom decision. Like the people over at CW are like, we've got the Warner Brothers connection. We can get through to Hanna Barbera. Like we can get let's get the Scooby-Doo property. Let's just Riverdale a Scooby-Doo. But the fact that this is like this very personal project for these people, they went and got independent funding. They're like writing it themselves. They're in it themselves, down to like the costume design. Like they do everything themselves. It seems like such a family production, you know, where there's people in the same family who are like appearing as different actors, you know?
Yeah.
Like the dog credited for playing Scooby, the like literal actual Great Dane, his name is like Thor Van Schultz. And like the actress playing Daphne's mom is somebody Van Schultz. Like we've got this role, we'll cast the woman who owns Scooby-Doo. Like I don't know which one came first, but it seems like just this small interconnected group of people.
Scooby-Doo or the egg.
And that's really charming. I do really like the small scale of this and what they are able to do with the resources they have. Like the show is shot very well. It looks very good. They've got nice sets they're working on. I do like the costumes. Everybody's costumed very appropriately for who their character is and what time frame we're in. We don't have the ascot on Fred, but I hope at least at some point, maybe as a joke, he wears an ascot. I want at least one ascot, like even jokingly included. Yeah. Right. Right, they go to dinner. He doesn't know how to tuck a napkin in. He ties it around his neck. I'll take anything. Another thing about the show that's really interesting is that unlike other live action Scooby-Doos that had like bigger budgets and had more like invented constructed sets, it's like there's filming in people's rooms. And so it's got these real life details in it. Like in Shaggy's room, he's got some Harry Potter books on his bookshelf. I'm like, I've never thought about those two things together before. I've never thought about, would Shaggy like to read Harry Potter? Oh, he does.
Probably.
It does make them feel relatable in a way that they never exactly were before, because they weren't in as grounded as a universe.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely think that this could work as a real show on television. They probably would change some things here and there. Not sure what exactly, but I think they have a great idea here, and I would kind of like to see this be an actual. I mean, I know that they are making it. You can go, all that stuff, but I would love to see this on the CW, right? Like, I think this would be an interesting one.
Yeah, I like what they're doing with the Scooby lore where there's like an actual demonic spell and the 13 pillars are being raised. The 13
Like the
ghosts of
13
Scooby-Doo.
ghosts, yeah.
Right. And we start with Minor 49er,
Great.
named as such, one of the classic Scooby foes. I think there's a somebody is referenced named Van Ghoul. We've got some of that lore in there. And the Hex Girls. I love that they're like, the Hex Girls have become such a fan favorite. They're here in episode 1, and they seem really plot relevant. Like they've always had this witchy vibe to them, but I don't know if they've ever been literal witches before. I mean, they've probably been like white
They're
magic, like
goths.
Wicca witches. Right. But here they're doing like, no, a literal spell with like literal like glowing magic lights. Like they're like,
they seem to be somehow relevant to the plot and not just like a background Easter egg. Which is one of the things that I liked is that, yes, this is Scooby-Doo and it is a Scooby-Doo centric show, but it lives in a world that is filled with Hanna Barbera stuff. Did you catch the name of the lawyer?
Oh,
Fred's lawyer. His name was Harvey. Harvey Birdman.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
I was just like, oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. I loved that. I like
great.
that there are these other properties out there that like you could potentially see a spinoff like they have done with Riverdale or just stuff like that. It makes the world feel more lived in and connected because of that, and it's neat. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about Scooby not talking in this? Because he is just a dog. He doesn't have any kind of like magical powers to speak. They weren't making it look like he was speaking by computer animating his thing. He is just a dog.
I like that because I'm thinking about it. I don't know if I've ever seen just a literal, actual life Great Dane. It's always been animated, whether cell animated or CGI. Yeah. I don't know if I've seen this before, and it fits. I think to have him talking, even if that is so familiar, almost required of a concept, I don't think it would work with what this show wants to do. Maybe there's something along down the line where there's like, we've got magic at play in this world. Maybe there's sort of a mind meld spell that happens between Scooby and Shaggy where he can more overtly understand what Scooby's saying. But I don't think that dog's going to talk.
Yeah.
I don't think it should.
I think because it has to be the like legally distinct Scooby show, right? It is a fan made thing. I don't know. I don't know legally what they can and can't do in that, but I think because the show is named Mystery Incorporated rather than Scooby-Doo, something. Scooby doesn't necessarily need to be the main character, even though I think it's arguable that he's not really the main character of the show, but it is the like spectacle of, oh, he's a talking dog, right? And he can help solve these mysteries and stuff. Whereas here in this, because it's named something else, I think it takes a little bit of that spotlight off of him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which may make it feel weird, right? Like, that's not Scooby. Right? Like he's not talking,
right, but here's the thing. Is anyone's favorite Scooby-Doo character Scooby-Doo?
Yes, that's exactly my point. Like, the show's named after him. He's arguably the main character, but like, is he really the one solving the mysteries? Maybe not so much. It's just the spectacle that he's a talking dog here. So I think they've gotten away with it that like, hey, by naming this Mystery Incorporated, Right, they got away with it.
No, every time you say spectacle, now I only think of the movie Nope, and I'm picturing like Jupiter Park inviting all these people over to his rodeo, and he whips the sheet off of the glass box, and he's just got Scooby-Doo in there.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it works, and I like there is that very real relationship between Shaggy and Scooby. I talk to my cats, right? I've talked to my dogs growing up, and he does the same thing where he talks to his dog, and he'll pretend to have conversations with them, but like, no, that's not what I said. You have to stay in here and do the right. Like Scooby obviously didn't say anything in that bit, but he's just having a fun conversation with his dogs. That's what people do, and I think that's very real and it's believable, and I'm okay with that because of that. It was just like, oh, I do that, right? So I enjoyed it a lot. Is there anything in this that was not working for you?
Oh, not exactly. Like, I understand what they are going for, and I think the show succeeds on what it wants to do. This is like textbook CW, like teen drama. And I like that it does have these, it picks and chooses what it's going to be really gritty about. You know, like we said, Fred's parents were just brutally murdered by a demon, and he tried to swat at the demon with his baseball bat, and the demon turned into smoke.
Yeah.
But like no one else's life is that harsh. Like Velma's mom's she's a drinker, but she doesn't seem mean. She just seems sort of out of it. Like she's just like asleep with a bottle next to her all the time. Like nobody's life is that. I mean, they didn't make it like hot button gritty issues like Daphne's bulimia or something like that. And I like that they, you know, like what you would see on like a Riverdale. I like that they've got enough of that in there while still keeping it in this like fantasy realm where it's like these kids deal with things like peer pressure, but also what if you swat your bat at a demon and the demon turns into smoke?
Right. Yeah. Speaking of Riverdale and all that stuff, did you catch the Riverdale Easter egg? And that, when they were looking for the rugs, and like, I don't know, get something like Jingle Jangle, or I forget the second one that they used, but they're both the names of the rugs that were in Riverdale, which is just like, oh, okay, nice tip of the hat. That was good. So the things that didn't work for me, which is, I feel like it's kind of give or take, because I liked most of the actors. I really liked Fred. Yes. I thought he was fantastic in this. There was the cheesy scene where he's like, no, when his parents died, but his interactions with Velma, I thought were fantastic. Velma, on the other hand, I was a little less sold on. But I liked the actors. Like, generally speaking, I liked them. I don't necessarily like the high school setting. They don't fit in high school. They are obviously too old for high school. Yeah. Make it college, right? Yeah. Do that and your problem is solved. Or if you want to do high school, which is maybe more accurate to the show and like feels more appropriate to the show, different actors, right? But that is the give or take here of like the creators are the writers, are the costume designers, the actors, are the like, and I get that passion and you want to do that. So I'm on one hand, I'm kind of okay with it. Right.
And I feel like having actors who are obviously not in high school play high schoolers is like part of the genre now. Yeah. Right.
It's kind of the
like
joke.
That you have to uphold the legacy. Like by doing this, you honor the memory of Luke Perry and all the adults playing teen stars who have come before.
Yeah. Man, I hope that they have the best time making this show.
Yeah.
If it has not already been made into its full season, I hope they do. I really hope they get some cameos from like Matthew Lillard or whoever. Like,
sure, yeah.
Just get some classic like Scooby-Doo actors and voice actors in there. I think that would be hilarious. That'd be great.
I did like that there was a title card at the end that said this is in memory of Joe Ruby and Ken Spears, who were the two specific creators at Hanna Barbera Studios who made this show.
Yeah.
And I think the deputy under like Shaggy's dad, the sheriff, was named like something Ruby, if I looked at his badge correctly. I like that they really know Scooby-Doo very well.
Yeah.
We get to see Shaggy make a big sandwich. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Like, if we don't have ascot yet, but we've got tall sandwich.
Yeah. That is the thing. Is it felt like such a love letter to Scooby-Doo. It had all those right details in there, the big sandwich, the tip of the hat to the creators, but then also in making this live action adaptation, they're bringing in so many other things. The Easter eggs were fantastic. They really had a fully realized version of this show. I'm surprised this hasn't gotten picked up yet by like something else. And like, hey, can we make this an actual thing? I know it is an actual thing, but you know what I mean. Yeah, like I had a blast. I don't think it'll sit well with everyone. But I see what they're going for, and I'm like, you nailed it.
Yeah. It might be too much of a teen drama for you. It might be a little bit too much for me, but I admire that. I think they have succeeded at what they set out to do.
Yes.
I'm very happy that this is happening, that they are doing it.
Absolutely. Indeed. Yeah. That I think is kind of about all I have to say on Mystery Incorporated. This was a good one. But that means, Melissa, it is your turn to pick what we are going to be watching next here on the Pilots Club. You have the one for December.
Yeah. So we're going to do this early in December, shortly after Thanksgiving. When I think of this time of year, I think about those Broadway musical numbers they do at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. So I thought we would watch the pilot episode of the TV show Smash.
There you go.
Do you know what Smash is?
I feel like I've heard the name, but I don't know exactly what it is.
This is a 2012 show that lasted for 2 seasons. I was surprised. I thought it only got 1. And you talked about how you love Riverdale, even though Riverdale is hot garbage. And I think that's the relationship that people had with Smash. It was a dramatization of what it's like to put on a Broadway musical. And I think it just got ragged on for being unrealistic, but like unrealistic to watch in like a fun, cheesy way.
Like the drama is still there, and you just want to watch the drama because it's wild.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's so inaccurate though. But I need to see what happens next. Okay,
I think it's one of those shows that people watched while cackling and cringing.
Yeah.
So pilot episode of Smash. You can find this for free on the Roku channel. And the description is: a successful songwriting duo of industry veterans, Julia and Tom, have an opportunity to create another Broadway hit, but making it to opening night isn't easy. When tenacious producer Eileen joins the project, a musical based on the life of iconic actress Marilyn Monroe, a rivalry for the lead role percolates between a beautiful novice and a stage veteran who is hoping to catch her big break. While the production is being prepped for opening night, real life has a tendency to get in the way. Julia and her husband are in the midst of a complicated adoption. The producer's divorce proceedings could threaten the production's finances, and the director could derail everything if he puts the star in a compromising position. One of the executive producers on this is Steven Spielberg.
Hey, there you go.
Very timely. We'll watch The Fabelmans and we'll watch this.
Good stuff. Do you know what
and there
this
are
is on?
some... I guess Roku
okay.
channel. Yeah, and there are some Broadway people in the cast. Megan Hilty, Leslie Odom Jr.
Cool, yeah.
There may be people that you know.
Good stuff. Indeed.
We'll see what the Smash is about.
We will do Smash in December. So that sounds fun. But that is about it for this one. So thank you all for checking it out. Thank you for watching this. This was a blast to make, and we will see you all next time.
Bye.